Hello, I'm Hielm-Björkman. I work in the DogRisk research group at the University of Helsinki. Today we're going to look at calculating missing food components from dog foods and also how you can compare dog foods in an intelligent way. What does the package say? When you are looking at, this is from a dry food package, you see things like protein, fat, ash, fiber, and those are very important ones. They are the ones that we're going to use in our calculations. But you also might see things like omega-3s and 6, and actually don't know that they already are part of the fat. Also, the calcium and phosphorus that is given there as 1 gram and 0.8 grams are actually already parts of the mineral or the ash content of the food. So what is usually missing on these ingredient lists? We usually do not have moisture and carbohydrates. Moisture is something that we are evaluating from known sources. Carbohydrates is something that we are going to count. So, when we count these ones, we can use calculators, and I've found one that you can use which is on the net, where you just put in things like protein, fats, protein, fats, ash, fiber, and moisture, and then it will give you the amount of carbohydrates in the food. But if you don't have that at hand, I will show you how you can do it by yourself. So we are going to calculate first the water. Actually not calculate, we're going to take it as a face value. When we've done our research, we have come up with these approximate means for freeze-dried food is about 2% usually. Dry foods or most of the dry kibbles are about 6%. Some of them can be a bit more moist, and then they go up to about 10%, even a bit more. Then air-dried dog food are about 10%, maybe 12%. And then the ones that you usually don't have to think about are the frozen or raw foods and canned and pouch foods, because by European law, when there is more than 14% of moisture, it has to be written down on the package. So it's actually these first ones, especially the kibble, that would be about 6% that you need to remember. So we're going to calculate carbohydrates of the food because they were not given. So how do we do that? We take the protein, the fat, the ash and minerals. Both the fat and ash and minerals were actually already having these omega-3s and calcium and phosphorus in them, although they were kind of on a straight line and looked like they would be something that was not calculated into the fat and minerals, but they are. Then also there was fiber, and then we estimated the moisture, the water content to be 6%, because this was a dry food. Then we calculate all of those together and we come up with 53 grams. So the rest of this food is carbohydrates, because the carbohydrates was the only macro nutrient kind of group that was missing. And actually we can even say that it is 50 grams because the fiber that was up in our first list and which was compulsory to have on the product was something of an insoluble carbohydrate, whereas these non-fiber or non-soluble carbohydrates were the 47 that we calculated. So here we can see that 50% of the dog food, this particular dog food, was actually carbohydrates, but they did not have to write it on the package. So this is something that we in our group very much would like for lawmakers to change, so that if you have such a big part of the food, that it would be compulsory to also write it down for a dog owner, not to have to calculate it, but just to be able to read it. So then when we would like to compare two very different type of dog foods, for example, a raw food and a dry food, which we're going to look at a bit later, we have to remember that they have such a big percentage difference in their moisture level that they are totally impossible to compare as such. So the ones that are fed that come directly from the package are not comparable. And what we have to do is we have to change them into dry matter. So dry foods they look quite nutrient dense because they have very little water, whereas the raw and wet foods contain a lot of water, and that's why they appear to have very low nutrient values. And with nutrients, I'm particularly thinking about proteins and fats, which are very essential for dogs, both for building, for brain function, and for a lot of other health-related functions in the body. So then let's start calculating these ones on a dry matter basis. We use this formula. So here I give you an example of a protein content of 13.2% as fed. This is from raw food that is on the market, which also has a moisture level of 67.2%. So I put them in this formula where you have, so the nutrient is 13.2 on the package, but the moisture level is 67.2 on the package as well. And I calculate by using the formula, and I come out with 40.2% on a dry matter basis. And with this one, it's much easier to compare this food, which happened to be a raw food, to another one that is a dry food. So here I'm comparing to the first two columns are going to be the raw food as fed and dry matter, and the second two are dry food as fed and dry food dry matter. So you can see the moisture level is very big in the raw food as fed, but we've changed it with the formula into a dry matter basis, and we've done the same with the dry food. Because the moisture level is so very small in the dry foods, you can see that the percentages don't really change. Like the protein changes from 25 to 26.6%. Whereas in the raw food that has a big component of water, the percentage changes from 13.2 to 40.2. So here, like this you can do. It's a bit complicated, and at the moment I don't have any calculator on the net to give you, but we're planning to make one in our Pawsomer app, if that's going to be possible. So with that, I hope you understand that this is what you have to do. A dry matter composition is totally necessary if you want any type of comparison to be done between foods. And with that, I thank you. And I also want to remind you that we have the DogRisk seminar the 12th and 13th of September this autumn. Everything is in English, so very much welcome. And I hope this helped you a bit on your next trip when you go to the supermarket or a pet store to look at dog foods. Thank you.